Okay, tutors, here's what we got. This is 1.15. This is the formative, this is not formative, this is the handout 1.15. I've gone through, in the previous video, I did question number 1, and I went over the graph for that. For question number 2, I'm going to scroll down here to question number 2. We're basically going to use the same structure that we did for question number 1. So what we need to do is read the question. Always read the question first. And it says the dance committee says they now expect double. Okay, so we're going to say they expect double the number of people to attend the dance for a total of 220 people. Okay, you scramble to find larger tables, and now we'll only use the tables that seat 4 people and tables that seat 8 people. Okay, so now we've changed our equation. All right, so just remember, originally we said S equals small, and we said G equals large. And you can call them whatever you want, but that's just a good way of understanding it. So we come up with this. It says 4 people per small table. All right, write an equation that describes it. Okay, this, and this. All right, so we now have, when we had before, I think it was 2 and 4. Okay, so we have 4S plus 8G equals 220. Okay, so now remember, back in our first one, I'm going to write it up here, it was 2S plus 4G equals 110. Well, the thing is, from 110 to 220 I just multiplied it by 2. From 4G to 8G, I just multiplied it by 2. And from 2S to 4S, I just multiplied it by 2. Okay? All right, so now it says to graph it. We have to label the graph right here. So the graph down here is going to be small tables. And over here is going to be large tables. Okay, so we'll call this G, and we'll call this S. All right. So if I go up here, if we want to plot this, okay, we can go with our intercepts. So if we say that S equals 0, I don't have any small tables at all, well, I could write it as 4 times 0, okay, because 0 is what I placed in here for S, plus 8G equals 220. Since it's just a multiplier, it's going to be the exact same equation, all right? So when you divide by 8 on both sides, take out your trusty calculator. Let's check it out. Let's see what we have. So we say 220 divided by 8 gives me 27.5. Just exactly what we had before. All right? So it's the same thing as we had before. So we can go up here if we say every third one is 5. Okay, so 5, 1, 2, 3, 10, 1, 2, 3, 15, 1, 2, 3, 20, 1, 2, 3, 30. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 35. You can do it however you want. You could have done every, every 5 was 5. It doesn't matter, okay? But so from right here, we say between 20 and 30 right here, it's going to be closer to this, so it's going to be somewhere around right here, right? So this would be a third, and then 2/3. So this is a little bit above 2/3 right here. So this point right here is going to be 0 tables. Okay, I'm not going anything on the tables. And 27.5 on the large tables. 0 small tables, 27.5 on the small tables. Okay, so now if we say here that we're going to say that the large tables are 0, we're just going to do plug the 0 into the other variable. So 4 times s now plus 8 times 0 equals 220. Don't have to deal with that one, so we divide by 4, right? And s, when we divide 220 by 4, we got to plug that thing in and just check it out to make sure. 55, there you go. Same as the last one. Well, what do you know? We have the same graph. So if we say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 5, 40, okay, and hopefully that's right. Tick mark, tick mark. All right, see what I'm doing here. So we have that, and there's our point right here. We can go ahead and plot that point, and that point is going to be 55, 0, right? So the way I do this in my class is I tell students that you get a point for labeling things correctly on your axes. So your small table axis right here has to be labeled correctly, and you have to write the word small table, and then up here label this correctly, large table, and that's a point right here. Give me 2 points, one labeled 2 points, 0, 27.5 and 55, 0, and then the last point is just by drawing out your line. Okay? All right. So let's make sure that I answer the question. It says graph the line for the equation you wrote in part A. Label your axes. Right? So it says find both intercepts of the line you graphed in part B. Well, what are the intercepts? The intercepts are these two things right here. So my G-intercept is 27, 27.5. So I could write down here G-intercept equals 27.5. Okay? My S-intercept equals 55. Okay? And what do these quantities represent in the context? Okay, so we've got to answer 2 parts. Do they make sense? Okay? So 27.5 represents, we can use 28 tables to fit 220 people. Okay? And that's for your G-intercept. Okay? Your S-intercept. we can use 55 tables to fit 220 people. Okay? Do the intercepts make sense? Yes. Why do they make sense? Because it's just a multiple of the first. We multiplied the tables by 2, and we multiplied the number of people by 2. Okay, so we multiplied both table sizes and let me erase that. Both table sizes and people by 2. Just double them, right? So if we double something on the right and we double it on the left, it remains the same equation. Okay? You decide to get exactly 18 tables and 8 people. How many tables that seat 4 people will you need to seat the 220 people? Okay, so 18 tables that seat 8 people. Okay, so 18 tables to seat 8 people. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the large tables, G, not P, but G. So G is going to equal 18. So we've got to plug it into our formula. All right, so we're going to go 4s plus 8 G, which is now 18, equals 220. Okay? All right, so I move over here. I'll just do this down right here on the side right here. I'm going to go 4s plus, what is that? Well, you got 64. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6, and we got 8 plus 6 is 14, so 144. Okay. Get that out of the way a little bit. Rewrite it. Say P equals 18. All right. So now I subtract 144. This cancels out, and I get 4s equals. So subtracting 144, well, I get 6 here. Got to borrow from that, and I get 11. So 11 minus 4 is 7. Borrow from that, so 76, and then I'm going to go ahead and divide by 4. Okay. And 4 goes into 7 one time, and I have 3 left over, so 36. 4 goes into 36 19 times, or 9 times. Okay. All right. So how many tables will tables that seat 4 people will you need to seat 220 people? 19 tables. Okay. So compare the equations you wrote in number 1 in 1A to 2A to the graphs you created in 1B and 2B. What do you notice? They are the same. What conclusions, if any, can you make about the solutions to both equations? Multiplying everything by the same thing by the same number does not change the equation.
Alexander Trochet to the attendance office.
All right.
Alexander Trochet.
So that brings us to
office.
3A. So if we notice this right here, what are we doing to go from 2 to negative 4x, from 3 to negative 6x, and then from 7? So what are we doing? We're multiplying by negative 2. So we've got to multiply 7 by negative 2 and we get negative 14. Okay? So what are we doing? What are we doing to go from, it's going to be the same pattern, to go from 3 to 12, we multiply by 4, so times 4. So we multiply this by 4 and this by 4. Okay? So we multiply 2 times 4 and we get 8. Okay? What are we doing? Okay, in our next one right here, what are we doing to go from 2 to 16? You multiply by 8. Okay, so I multiply this by 8. So multiply by 8. So 3 times 8 is 24. Okay, now we multiply on this one. How do we get to 15? From 3, okay, from positive 3 to negative 15, I multiply by negative 5. Okay, so I have negative 5, that's going to give me negative 10. Okay, negative 5 right here, negative 35. Okay, right? So I multiplied by negative 5. Okay, now last one, you pick. You pick on this. So I can just, I'm going to pick 10. Multiply the whole thing by 10. Okay, so I'm just going to add a 0. 20, 30, and 70. Okay, that's it. Okay, so for this one, we want to get, if we are going to get 1 right here, we would divide by 7. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Okay, so if I divide both sides by 7, I'm going to get 2 over 7 and 3 over 7. Okay, find the slope. Okay, the slope is subtracting 2x from both sides. I get 3y equals negative 2x plus 7, and I divide by 3 on both sides, and I get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 7/3. Okay? And will the graph of the equation you created above have the same slope? Yes. It's the same line. Okay, so it's the same line because all we did is just multiplied it or divided it by the same thing. Multiplied everything or divide everything by the same thing, and we get the same line. Same line. All right, and that should do it. We're done.